Hey everybody, welcome to Moment of Clarity, number 34. That's my favorite number, Moment of Clarity. I feel like this is a big one. So I'm going to talk about several actions that are going on, several efforts right now, seeing as this is the beginning of the Biden administration, what he's done so far. By the way, please take a second to share this, to let people know, to spread the word. So far what he's done, and you know, if you turn on CNN or whatever, they're fawning over how incredible he is, and the adults are back in the room, and bliggity bliggity blue. And if you turn on Fox News, they're like, it's socialism. He actually reanimated Karl Marx's corpse, and he's sitting at the Oval Office desk. Oh my God. And really, neither is true. The adults are not in the room, and this is not socialism. But what Biden's done so far is basically just undo a lot of things that Trump did, a lot of his crazier shit, and that was executive action based. He also ended the Keystone Pipeline for now. That is great. That is exciting. But I wouldn't give him too much credit for it because Obama actually had stopped the Keystone Pipeline before he left office. So again, this is just undoing something that Trump did, which was allow that horrific pipeline to go through that brings toxic, nauseous, fucking disastrous Canadian tar sands oil from Canada, also known as Canada to the smarter Americans, and brings it down to the United States. So that pipeline being stopped, but on top of the fact that Obama had already done it, it really, you have to thank activists. You have to thank people that have stood up in the way of that pipeline at every step. Lawsuits, fucking people locking themselves to the pipeline. Every effort has been made to stop that pipeline because we are on a death spiral. If you really look at the climate, if you look at the environment, and that pipeline was yet another step towards our seemingly inevitable, unless we really get our fucking act together, death, extinction, what have you. So yes, Tony, I am early today. I apologize for that, but I will be doing a live stream Government Secrets with Graham Elwood a little later. So that's why I'm doing this early. You can watch that, by the way, my podcast, Government Secrets with Graham Elwood. You can watch that live stream later on Graham's channel, I believe. It's, if you search YouTube for Graham Elwood, I believe it's just youtube.com/Graham Elwood. But either way, we'll be doing that live. And then, of course, you can also listen to it on your podcast platforms. We'll be talking about the assassination of, I'm trying to remember this fellow's name, John F. Kennedy. John F. Kennedy, I can't remember. He held some sort of position in government. I think he was like an intern to somebody. Anyway, we're going to talk about his assassination in the upcoming Government Secrets. So check that out later today. It's at 7 p.m. Eastern. We'll be live streaming. But like I said, it's all free on the podcast platforms. I almost said plodcast, which I think that sounds much cooler. I wish we were all doing plodcasts. I would have so many podcasts. I'd be the podcast king. I really would. But I want to get into some more of what Biden needs to be forced to do right now, which a lot of people have wondered, what are the next steps for Julian Assange? Many of you know that the judge, so far he's been in Belmarsh prison for about 2 years. He was in the Ecuadorian embassy for 7 years. The judge just, I did several videos on it, revealed what his fate would be, which is she agreed with everything the U.S. government said, basically making journalism a crime, making free speech a crime, making publishing a crime, being a whistleblower is a crime. Of course, that's nothing new. But she agreed with all that. She just said Julian Assange cannot be extradited because he would kill himself. That was basically the only reason they're not extraditing him. So the U.S., and this part happened under Trump. That's important. This part happened under Trump. They said they will appeal that decision, meaning for the next year, 2 years, who knows, as that appeal goes through, Julian Assange stays in Belmarsh prison, basically being tortured, solitary confinement, doesn't have access to his legal papers or his really access to the internet, can't see his family because of COVID restrictions. But here's the thing. That, with the U.S. Justice Department stating we will appeal this and we are putting forward our appeal, was done in the end of the Trump administration. Now we're in the Biden administration. Biden and Biden's Justice Department could decide today, I'm not saying they will, they won't, but they could decide at any minute that they are done with the appeals process, that they are done persecuting Julian Assange. And they get a little bit of cover because they don't have to say that, oh, we admit Julian Assange is a fucking hero. Oh, we admit that we are war criminals and Julian Assange helped reveal that. They don't have to say any of that. All they have to say is the judge decided he would kill himself if he were sent to America. We're done with our appeals. That's it. That's all they have to say. We're dropping the appeal. Oh, well. And Julian Assange would be free that minute. That's all Biden and Biden's Justice Department has to do. Now, on top of this, and actually because I'm basically saying several of the things I was going to read in Stella Morris's email to me. I asked her whether the next step should be to try and force Biden and Biden's Justice Department to drop the appeal. If that's where the energy should go as we continue to fight for Julian Assange. As I've said many times, this fight is not over. And I figured I'd just read to you what she said. Hi, Lee. Yes, we want to pivot to, and I don't know if I mentioned, Stella Morris is Julian Assange's partner, mother of two of his children. And she has been, since she came forward, because it was kind of top secret that they were together. They were together while he was in the embassy, whenever they could find time to be together. And she only admitted or came forward, I am his partner. Here are his two children in the past, I think, 2 years, year and a half, something like that. And since then, she has been a very public face of the fight to save Julian Assange. So Stella Morris says, hi, Lee. Yes, we want to pivot to get Biden to drop it. The key thing is that the Obama administration decided not to indict. You guys might remember that when Obama was still in office, they decided not to indict Julian Assange. Now, again, they did not admit that he was a hero. They didn't admit they were war criminals. They didn't admit that the American government was doing all kinds of horrific shit. They just decided not to indict, apparently behind closed doors, because they felt it was dangerous to journalism and free speech, and that they would lose, probably. So that was supposedly their reasoning. So to continue Stella Morris's email, key thing is that the Obama administration decided not to indict, and this case is a Trump legacy thing. It was Trump and his Justice Department that put forward this case, that took Assange to Belmarsh prison, that have persecuted him at least the past couple of years. The persecution before that was under Obama, but past couple of years, all Trump legacy, Trump shit. And if Biden wants to be different than Trump, now would be a good time. This would be a good time to step up and fucking be different than Trump. So to continue Stella Morris's email, this is a Trump legacy thing. If Biden really wants to, quote unquote, restore democracy, he has to reverse course on this. His transition team has stated that it wants to restore the independence of the Department of Justice, presumably the independence of the DOJ that existed during Obama, and considered going after Julian Assange as counterproductive and dangerous to U.S. democracy. So this is an important push that people need to do right now, which is push the Biden administration. Close enough. Push the Biden administration and his DOJ to drop this fucking ridiculous appeals. Drop the appeals on someone who has just been destroyed. He's been, obviously, mentally harmed as well as physically with his persecution, his confinement. It's time for Julian Assange to be free and to give this shit up. And this is a key time, because usually when the United States states that they're going to do something, like we are going to bring these indictments against Assange, they don't stop. However, this is one of those rare things where they have just lost in court. The judge said he can't be extradited, and you have a switch of administration. So now is the time for Biden and his DOJ to drop this shit, and people really need to fight for that. Let's see here. Oh, yeah. So this is to continue on to some other, by the way, please take a second to share this, let people know. This is the New York Times article on what's happened in the past couple days. New York Times, generally garbage, but what they're they make a big point of the Paris Climate Agreement in the article, and their reason for doing that is because they want to act like that matters, and it doesn't. The Paris Climate Agreement was garbage from day one. And by the way, yet again, how it's garbage is the Chamber of Commerce, which is basically the chamber of big business, big corporations. And I think the Chamber of Commerce was created, I don't know what year it was created, but I think it was created back when business kind of owned the presidency for the most part, but it didn't full on just get everything they wanted. And so they were like, we need to create a lobbying group to help us. And so nowadays, corporate America just fully owns the U.S. government, the military, everything. So the idea that there's still a Chamber of Commerce is kind of hilarious, as if I wish big business had some way to lobby our government officials. I wish that, there was something they could do to influence our officials in the government. I don't know. Maybe if there was some sort of Chamber of Commerce that stood up for things. But anyway, Chamber of Commerce in this article says they're for Biden rejoining the Paris Climate Accords. Why are they for that? Why would something that is completely just all about corporate America, all about corporations, profit, everything, why would they want him to rejoin the Paris Climate Accords? Because they're meaningless, and they make business look good by being like, look what we did. Look what we care about. The Paris Climate Accords have no teeth. They don't actually require that countries do these things. And if you look at the countries that remained in it, even as the U.S. pulled out, they haven't done shit, really. So anyway, you get the point. Paris Climate. Hi, Kelly. Paris Climate. Every once in a while, I catch a comment. But anyway, so another step that, because I'm basically centering this episode around things we can do right now and things that have to happen right now. Another thing that's going on right now is January 25th is a global day of action for Yemen. Apparently, during his campaign, although I don't remember seeing the clips, but I've read the article saying that during the campaign, Biden said the destruction of Yemen needed to stop. I'm sure he didn't use the word genocide, but the genocide in Yemen needs to stop. The U.S. supports that. We sell the arms to Saudi Arabia. We look the other way, but it's not just looking the other way. We literally help them do some of their targeting in Yemen as they destroy an entire peoples there, causing one of the greatest famines this world has seen in decades. And Biden apparently, when he was throwing out promises that he didn't plan to keep, I guess, said that the war in Yemen should stop. And of course, calling it a war is a little not quite true, because it's really a one-sided war. It's like saying our complete destruction of Iraq was the war in Iraq. It's like, no, they had 5 guys on a donkey and we blew it the fuck up. That's not really a war. Similar with Yemen. So this global day of action, January 25th, at least repost about it, get involved in it if you can, let people know. Let's all start talking about it. Again, this is an area where maybe Biden could be slightly pushed. I think it's unlikely, but it's an area where he can be pushed. And by the way, to go back to Assange for a minute, I'm sorry, I forgot to say that Stella Morris has just started in the past 2 years, started a new crowdfunder for his, or a continued crowdfunder for his legal defense. They basically exhausted the funds they had in order to get this first decision about the extradition. And now they have to build up more defense right now for this appeals process. So if you want to donate or learn about the new crowdfunder for Julian Assange's defense, check out Stella Morris's Twitter account. and she's got all the info there, and it is Stella Morris 1, the number 1. So STLLMORIS and the number 1. That's where you can find out her information. So, yes, Global Day of Action, January 25th. Please post about that. Another place that we can have an impact right now, which I have talked about before, but I do see people continuing to talk about it, is forcing an executive action, an executive decision on executive movement, executive effort, whatever the fuck you want to call it, on Medicare for all. I've been talking a lot about this. There is a statute within the Social Security Act that allows our executive, the president, to, and along with other agencies, but he doesn't have to go through Congress, to give Medicare for all to people who have been subject to an environmental exposure of some kind, which every American now has. How about just microplastics? We're all breathing in microplastics. God knows what kind of harm they're doing. Jason Yawn reminded me of that. And so we've been exposed to that. But of course, many places are exposed to lead in their water. They're exposed to smog. They're exposed to Roundup herbicide. They're exposed to auto-tune. They're exposed to fucking the horse shit that comes out of the face of the Republicans and the Democrats and all our political sociopaths that fucking run the society into the ground as they enrich themselves. We're exposed to their shit that sprays out of their face. So how about that? How about that for environmental exposure? Anyway, Biden could give everybody Medicare for all right now without Congress. So we should continue that push. He does not need Congress to give people medical care. And at the very least, although we should all have medical care and health care all the time, at the very least, we should have this through the end of the pandemic. He should say, hey, it's a fucking pandemic. Here's assigning fucking executive action. There you go. You get health care till this pandemic's over. That's the least of it. Okay, so there's another area that we can push right now and maybe have some impact. And the final one I'll end with, and I just saw this a few minutes ago. I wasn't aware of this until a few minutes ago. Instacart has decided to fire all employees who were trying to start a union, who were trying to unionize within Instacart. Now, in normal office places, but I guess this doesn't count for the gig economy, quote unquote, you're not allowed to do this. You're not allowed to have reprisal for trying to start a union. But apparently Instacart, being a contractor, is able to do that, is able to fire all the employees who tried to unionize. Now, I don't know how many of you might still believe the ridiculous right-wing talking points that unions are bad or they're corrupt or whatever. Bullshit. At the end of the day, unions are about workers having power, because otherwise workers have no power and they are fucked in every way possible. There is no moment that corporate America sits around a boardroom and goes, well, but doing that wouldn't be nice to the workers. That fucking never happens, okay? That is not a thing. They might try and tell you it's a thing. No, we care about you. You're our people. We're a big family. Corporations love to say that. We're a big family. You know, you're like my ugly uncle who touched me when I was a kid. We're a big family. No, you're not a big family. Corporations at no point make decisions over whether it'll be nice for their workers. And if you see something that makes it look like they're doing that, such as Free Bagel Tuesdays or some shit like that, that's designed to cover up the fact that they actually don't give a fuck about you. If they give you, oh, yeah, guess what, folks? We all get pizza on Friday. That's designed to make you not think about the fact that they just canceled your dental care, your dental insurance. Anytime you see something, we have a coffee machine now. That is nothing. That's the pat on the head after you've been abused is all that is. Hey, you good little boys and girls. corporate America is designed around profit over all else. It's designed to exploit you at every turn. And so unions are the tiny little bit of power that workers can put together. And if you have big unions, you could have a lot of power. This doesn't mean no union has ever done anything wrong, or that, the head of the AFL-CIO isn't a kind of standard Democrat corporatist. Absolutely, that can happen. But at the heart of it, a union is about workers having power. And now we're down to 7% of American citizens are unionized. Might be less now. I think that number is a couple years old. And those areas where they have some power, workers are treated somewhat better. What just went through in California, Prop 22, was it 21? Was designed to, and it did get passed, but by billion, what they spent like $1 billion, I don't know, hundreds of millions to force that thing through. To help Lyft drivers and Uber drivers, but thank you, bitter almonds. Prop 22 in California, but really it's designed to harm workers, and already it's being used that way. We covered it on Redacted. There's two. One was Pavilion, and I can't remember what Vons was the other one. These are two food chains in California that had hired drivers. Like their business model was, we pay drivers, and they paid them the going rate. I'm not saying they gave them all kinds of fucking amazing benefits, but they paid them a good rate to be the drivers for these food delivery services. And they've already announced, since Prop 22 passed, that they're firing all their drivers and replacing them with Lyft and Uber and those type of things, because they know that those workers will save them money by treating the workers like shit. And that's how it works. So anyway, Instacart, you should boycott Instacart. Do not fucking use Instacart. And you should talk about how you're not using it. You should post online. You should post on Twitter how you're not using Instacart anymore. Tag them in the post and make a point of letting everybody know that Instacart is apparently, unless they announce otherwise soon, firing all of their workers who tried to unionize. So complete fucking assholes. Big surprise. Okay, well, that's what I have for today, I think. See if we got any questions. As I said, I'll be doing a live stream, government censored. We try to live stream it every week, but the time varies and stuff. But tonight, it'll be at 7 p.m. On Graham Elwood's YouTube channel. And we'll be covering the assassination of, God, what was his name? Jerry R. Kennedy. Jerry Fitzgerald Kennedy, or John. It's one of those. I know the initials were JFK. I just can't remember the name. I think he was Secretary of Agriculture. He was big into corn and stuff. Anyway, they offed him. I don't know why. They didn't like corn. Corn's in everything, by the way. So apparently these people didn't like that. No, we'll be talking about the assassination of John F. Kennedy on Government Secrets tonight, 7 p.m. Eastern, Graham Elwood's YouTube channel. And but yeah, by the way, good tangent there. Corn, thanks to the corn lobby, is in fucking everything. And by in everything, I mean things you don't think have corn. It's in plastics. It's in when you buy an apple and it looks shiny and it's not organic, that's because it's sprayed with a corn wax. I'm not fucking kidding. They spray it with like a wax on the outside so that it doesn't age and so that it looks all shiny for you. And that's why you can tell it's not organic. Because if a fucking piece of fruit is as shiny as like Nancy Pelosi's plastic surgery face, then there's a problem there. There's a problem there. If a plastic piece of fruit is just gleaming off of it, like, somebody who's had a fuckload of plastic surgery, then that's a problem. That means not organic. I'll tell you that much. That means something's gone wrong. So yeah, they spray it with a fucking corn polymer. Corn is literally in everything. Yeah, someone said toothpaste. I think it's in something like 80% of products at the grocery store. This is thanks to the corn lobby and everything else. Of course, it's terrible for us. It's terrible for our system, for the environment. But all right, I'm going to wrap it up there, and I will maybe see you at Government Secrets. If you miss it, go ahead and listen to it on the podcast platforms. My other podcast called Common Censored with Eleanor Goldfield. Don't miss that either. She has a new article up at Mint Press about how this so-called peaceful transition was not really a peaceful transition. It was really more of a fucking military state. So that's over at Mint Press, and you should check it out. Thanks, guys. Keep fighting.